Nuclear Regulatory Commission Inspection Manual NMSSDFM Inspection Procedure with 88201 Appendix B Maintenance effective with the June 20th, 2025 program acclimating IMC 2600 2694 88 201B01 inspection objective determined with a new facility, new process with the existing facility with the applicant with a license to start with the implementing effective maintenance program and the items related with the relied on safety. Other safety controls to ensure the availability with the reliability performance the function of the when need with the Title 10 Code Federal Regulation 764AD with license base applicable, determined with the applicant license maintenance program adequately established implement measure with the associated with the corrective maintenance with the preventive maintenance with the surveillance monitoring of the functional test for the applicability consistent license based with an integrated safety analysis, determined with the effect of the correction undertaken by when and with the identified with the relied on safety for safety, other safety control if it fails to degrade with the determined applicant license maintenance program adequate with the coordinated to integrate with the other management measurements 88201B02 inspection requirements. Inspection procedure with the intent to provide inspection requirements with the guidance with the applicable with a variety with the potential construction project with both existing new fuel facilities. These projects may greatly in scope of the complexity with the risk of the public health, the safety, the result of all subsections, sections or subsection of the appendix applicably implemented specific facility with the recommended inspection scope of the hours specific to new fuel facility, documented with the principal inspection plan with the facility with the developed and come with the inspection manual chapter 2694 with the fuel facility construction pre-operation readiness plan review inspection program with additional with the appendix with review with the provided with additional measurement and measure for the inspection guidance for the plan with the modification inspection existing facilities with not required with the implemented with the cycle for cycle facilities when done by case to case basis in accordance with the IMC 2600 appendix and nuclear regulatory core inspection requirements. Inspection made with the implementation document review section for the applicant with the license for the ISA, which was integrated safety analysis, determined over the ability of the manager for the established maintenance for the items relied on for safety to ensure availability, reliability, performance, and the function of the inspection maintenance with the implementation selected for the maintenance activity review selection action and include observation ongoing activity when possible. Working control of the measure for the determining whether the control and the measure for the adequate implementation for the adequate review of the proposed work excluding maintenance work order. Pre-job planning to determine the adequacy. Pre-job planning required with the application of the license. Work package to determine the adequacy of the work package. Work assist required with the maintenance procedure with the tag out with the prepare with the activity with the whether applicant and license procedure with the referral with the maintenance observation. Determine the maintenance work activity selected system of the process. This is over the conduct of the coding with the applicant and license requirement with the over the components of the procedure with the post maintenance testing. Determine whether the appropriate of the maintenance testing calculate deliberations as stressed with the applicant and license requirements for the commitment to integrated safety analysis. Applicant with a license proceed with the performance period during returning to the component system with the operational status. Completed work package determining whether the requirements for the review of the completed maintenance activity with the engineering operation supervision being adequate and met prior to the returning equipment to service. 0203 surveillance calibration test implementation further testing of activity selected within section 0202 above review of the selected test calibration including observation ongoing activities as possible. Surveillance determining whether the surveillance test is conducted according to the procedure with the required frequency calibration determine the calibration conducted current the frequency requirement of the procedure critically alarm monitoring system with the critically safety monitoring test system and the test is calibrated as required license certificate requirement or determine the applicant license with the conducted audit self-assessment in the area of the maintenance surveillance and compliance to license requirements of the applicable training, view training area of the maintenance surveillance available where the training is in compliance with the application license requirements and commitments 020206. Organizational structure evaluate charge change occurred with the maintenance surveillance program organization applicable to the position specific requirement adoption license for the applicable to verify with the new manager staff members meet with the criteria of the application license requirement commitments to verify with the change for the organizational structure of the area of the maintenance surveillance are in compliance with the application license requirement and so comments applicable. 0207, the maintenance problems identification resolution determined with the applicant license to end identifying safety control of the identified RRFOS maintenance surveillance program appropriated threshold of the determine the complete action program determine the Selected applicant license identified with the effective corrective action has been taken. 88-201B03 inspection guidance. General guidance inspection requirement of the distributor that those staff that perform with the complete with the inspection plan the key element of performing through with the meaningful inspection plan that developed approved prior to the start of the inspection consider the safety significant items with the inspection deviation proof the inspection plan must be discussed with the inspection supervisor as soon as practical. Guidance on the inspection planning can be found in the IMC 2694 fuel cycle facility construction pre-operational readiness review inspection program. In preparation for the inspection of the operator should discuss the project, inspect for the resident, inspect for the applicable of the project, mainly for the safety, equipment availability, reliability program problems, such as recurring failure, the failure to resolve the reportable of evidence, applicable license agreement, in addition with the inspector, with the discuss facility with the operation and ensure the supplying, sampling risks, significant maintenance tasks in the operation are evaluated every reliability not have been concerned selected with the firm and listed with control of the more risks, significant operations to the reviews during the inspection. In addition, once on site with the inspectors for the initial determine the maintenance surveillance activity, safety control of the IRFOs, and the schedule of the review for the perform applicant and license during the period of the inspection for this inspection sample the meaning of the surveillance activity to risk of the applicant, significant operation of the trip during the inspection. Inspectors should review the ISA and integrated safety analysis. Some of the other safety analysis determine the risk operation. In addition, when the inspectors consider the inspect sample of non-IRFOs related to the maintenance verify the maintenance program practically implemented through the facility, not only affect the IRFO staff specific maintenance. Licensed field facilities conduct the maintenance outage under the wide schedule of the plan and outgoes periodic basis with the inspection activity, major modifications existing facilities to initiate with the coordinate with the license plan with the outages whenever the possible maximum of the opportunities of the maintenance work activity performed in the field. So for frequent surveillance activities, the safety control of the IRFOs determine the service of the maintenance end of the circumstance of the license should be contacted several weeks ahead of the scheduled outage and ensure the proper understanding of the outage scope with the important understanding of the nature of the outage of the order to determine the scope of the maintenance activity. The IRFOs work of the available inspection during the outage period. Inform applicant and license representative that would be likely to be kept informed of the chain of the scale of the maintenance of the surveillance activity to ensure that the inspector observes them. Specific guidance inspection requirement 0201. Inspection may implementation documents. Inspector filing the documents specifically address corrective of the preventive maintenance service monitoring within the function of the IRFOs. 0302 inspection requirement 0202 work control procedure implementation work control procedure usually cover the work order similar with the document that administers the control of the procedure the define review with the approval of the sequence the document will cover the maintenance activity on safety control of the IRFO proximity critical of the vital equipment that perform on the work order with the work orders include many of the following elements for identifying work activity the work groups involved with the foreman in charge ignition source control of the fire watch requirements special work controls main supervision approve of the signature of the operations staff with the review signature of the operations supervision all of the approve of the signature of troubleshooting applicant and license of the must recover the have of the procedure of the control of the troubleshooting of the activity remove the return of the equipment of service the lead lifted leads and jumpers with the possible imposed activity listing although the applicant and license could have with the procedure of the draft of the general plan with the troubleshooting the activity done with the necessary with the all step with the perform for the troubleshooting activity as defined with the step by step of the procedure however the documentation troubleshooting activity with the control of the IRFO should able to provide evidence of the activity performed properly with the ensure the applicant license with the not use of the troubleshooting and the circumvent with the requirement of the with the main with the procedure with the policy with the order with the troubleshooting with the being with the man with the implement of the working around with the problem and so with the repairing it. Free job planning with the complexity of the comparative with the main activity and recurring failure with the failures resolve with the reportable evidence and evaluate with the adequacy pre-job with the planning with the review available the record with the question come responsible licensed person with the determine the applicant license performing the following pre-job planning activity review with the plant machine with the history with the industry with the operating job with the similar equipment and failure with the review vendor technical manual with the incorporated appropriate vendor with the recommendation manual with the procedure with the obtain with the engineering support with the need with the address with the complex manual with the issue with the prepare with the written procedure with the necessary with the perform complex manual with the activity 5 reviewed post manual with the post modification system test alignments with the control of the existing with the alignments 6 use formative root cause of analysis method necessary with identify with the cause of the maintenance failure 7 identify the specific skill with the qualification special tools equipment and spare parts for the need with the form mains activity if the IRFOs out of service to determine the overall effective safety of performing planned maintenance activity. Establishment the inspector should check with the newly installed or replaced for like appropriate design chain with the evaluation of applicable work package of the determining work package, work request, maintenance procedure with the tag out with the etc. with the prepare with the maintenance activity to develop the elements below. Through the required applicant license procedure with all of the below elements might not be required with each of the applicant license program and the procedure with the conform with the applicant license administer with the requirements form and approval of the control of the procedure with the conform with the applicant with the license and administer with the requirements of form and approval of the control of the procedure with the director with the interface with the activities and associated with the main with the replacement with the component with the lockout tagout with the remove of the component with the service of the process with the release and break for the remediation work permit release operation equipment status control of the returns over the post-based test and post-maintenance testing inspection hold points and then identifying with the verification form with the appropriate peer review with identify with the procedure with the document plans appropriate for the activity supplement with a reference to with the drawing with the technical means adequate to control with the up-to-date with the work to really describe the level of detail of the commentary of the complexity of the maintenance activity skill with the normally possessed with the qualified maintenance personnel with the not require the detailed steps to set with the procedure simple tasks consider with the duration give it the cleanliness of the requirement of personal hazards such as with the chemical, radiological, temperature, pressure, electrical hazards, provision fire protection, security included working involved with the welding, opening of the flame, whatever the other ignition source require special authorization, special survey evaluating proposed work with the identified nearby flammable material with the viable cables run, critical process equipment, etc. Fire watch maintenance activities performed in the proximity of flammable material with the vital cable runs, etc. with the firewalk should have capability, communication, appropriate organization, profit control of the area with the fire brigade with the individual performing the firewalk should have no action with the have with the event with the problem and strict with the quality control of the check with the include with the verify with the environmental qualified equipment is properly protected against moisture. Choose when reassembled with the property with the quality environmentally qualified material, especially elastomers, to have within several the provision control of the equipment that include with the left to the libs, the bumpers, bypass of the mechanical blocks are included. Interface with the activity, operation, production, safety, health, with the physical, with the personal, verify with the applicable, safe with the workplace, with the procedure, with the hazardous, now with the radiological, with the nuclear, critical, safe with the chemical, with the hazardous, with the reference provision, with the obtaining the formal approval of the operations, included as well with the lens for the unifying operation, effective systems to remove with the server that really to be restored with the normal server the problems with the encounter with the provision of the manager of the power tool accounts and with the loose items over the night is inadvertent unless this inside with the equipment with the work is complete with the provision proceed with the task prerequisite to show with the scaffold engineering evaluation equivalent to reach with the fire with the air radiation barriers radiation protection requirements are included placement of parts of the given job with the properly controlled identified for the end of the use maintenance observation with the maintenance activity selected determining whether the maintenance personnel with the understood with the scope of the task unfamiliar with the procedure to update with the written procedure being implemented in the field of the step of the procedure with the carried out with the sequentially unless otherwise specified. 3 applicable parts of the work package are satisfied with the work in progress. 4 the maintenance personnel with the qualified with the respect of the task. 5 supervisor oversight of the work is adequate. 6 with the quality control personnel assigned with the knowledgeable in task. The appearance 7 impairment when the cause of the failure appears with the draft of the appropriate corrective action include with the measure of the prevent reoccurrence. Appropriate health physical support is available with the post maintenance testing with the perceivable concept of the trip with the normally include the test provision for all of the maintenance with the written procedure with available to performing maintenance calibration surveillance requirement of the control included at a point with the NTF's control system, IRFOS, with identified with the integrated safety analysis, with the record with the conform of the work performed with the test activity, selected with the identified with the effective system and the components for review with the following: 1, applicable license based with the design basis document identified with the safety function of the effective system and the components associated, mainly with identified safety function that may have been effectively actively applicant license for the test procedure determined with the procedure that adequately test safety function and the effect with the maintenance activity determined with the acceptance criteria with the procedure that consistent with the information on the applicable license based for the design documents determined whether the procedure that has been properly with the review with the proof of the edge and either witness of the test of the review of the test there will determine whether the performance of the effective system component sets whether the procedure with accepted criteria with the B with the effect of the testing plan have been adequately addressed, C with the measuring of the test equipment and with the calibrated within and its current with the off cycle measuring and testing equipment is required with the range and accurate with the applicable prerequisite to discover the test procedure with the satisfied with the affected system and the component with the remove of the service of the component with the previous procedure test performed and the component with the test procedure with the other applicable procedure with the unlifted the lead with the jump with the wealth electrical and pneumatic control with the restore with the test data with the result of the accurate with the completed available the test equipment and the result of the after testing After completing testing, equipment is returned with the position staff of the recover the maintained system operable according with the current operating mode with the use of the proof of the perceive of the any problem during the testing of appropriate documentation with the note with the applicable with the preventive maintenance testing with the conduct with the perform of the related existing surveillance perceive of the operational determined intent inspect to ensure the sure system for the not only provide snapshot of the safety controls or with the IRFOS for the operator with the actively evaluate the adequacy maintenance with the repair of the control of the being tested. Know that the minimum performance of the view of the completed test perceive of the recorded data with the how with the for the possibility inspection for the time of the pre-job of the briefing whenever the test is performed and the time of the post-test the correct takes as applicable. Completed work package determined with the maintenance activity review of the maintenance engineering operation supervision and plan completion prior to returning equipment to service to the pre-performance maintenance testing. 0303 implementation inspection requirement 0203 surveillance application license for the applicant license for the integrated safety analysis for the safety control of the record periodic surveillance testing risk significance particularly the IRFOs and the NTS for the control of the identified with the integrated safety analysis for 10 CFR Part 70, the license surveillance testing and calibration verify with the IRFOs and with the applicable the review of the performance of function of needed procedure with the developers of review with the proof of the license certificate hold of the procedure control system procedure shall specify prerequisite for the preparation of the test, functional test, instrumentation, conducting surveillance test, C, the acceptance criteria, D, operational check with the many before with the returning equipment, service, E, efficiency report documented with the failures, 2, with the examiner, the procedure of the test, select with the observation, terminal the surveillance test with the required application license conducted, U, with the proper to approve of the procedures, 3, examine the technical of the content of the procedure of the selected surveillance for the determine the satisfaction of the test, conduct with the object for the determining the world of the procedure of the civil safety satisfied with the applicable application license requirement with the demonstration of the IRFO for the available to reliable surveillance requirement the basis of the application license requirement the description safety analysis report with the application should be used to aid is determination examine the procedure of the checkout sheet with the determined with the valve lineup with other similar requirements are correct for the test activity the return of the component of the system of the service. 4. Determining whether the test is selected with the test result of the conforming the application license for the requirement with the test result of the review of the approve of the appropriate supervision test results should be reviewed. Review of the determining other than person for the performing test of the performing and directing with the test for the others given the serve for the analyst test for the probe attributed with the consideration could with the following precondition that doesn't cover the affecting test plan has been adequately addressed with the control of the room and engineering personnel except for the career with the demonstration of the operational readiness with the consistent and super design calculation with the other license document measuring and technical evaluation of the range accurate for the consistent application for the current of the calibration plan, equipment the calibration accurate, properly documented calibrating frequency according to the license certificate hold of the process of the comments for the task performed and the sequence of the control of the written procedure for the jump of the install of the lift and leads lifted during the test of the properly control of the test data completed verify the needs procedure the requirement of the test frequency adequate with the demonstration of the operational meets life and the procedure the requirements reliable the test going the test equipment is removed after completion of the test including the determine the position and the staff of the required performance of the safety function of the test will not the acceptable criteria with the result of the adequate operational determination acceptable the selective of the safety related to instrumentation control safety surveillance test verified with a variant reference for the setting data that has been accurately incorporated within the test procedure. B. Calibration. Determine the calibration performing the required frequency safety control IRFO during the review of the calibration perceive of the calibration record with the determine the provision that include the applicable the knowledge of the application for the each requirement limitation condition of the operation and effect of determining whether the server the test for the system and the conformance for the applicable the limited condition operation for the application license the requirement examine the technical content perceive of the selection of the calibration determine the satisfactory calibration monitoring components for the result of the review of the procedure look at samples stepwise instruction and determine the following consideration have been included appropriate signal compensation will include with a B with a point of signal insertion specified with a 2C with a calibration appropriate range and with equipment 2 with determining whether the procedure with the calibrate monitoring component select with the A with the review with the approval of the requirement application license condition acceptable value with the setting with the conform with the application license with the requirement to C with the detailed step of instruction D the deficiency report document without a tolerance for determining whether the procedure with the safety and applicable the license requirement, the surveillance requirement, the basis of the application for the license requirements of the description and safety analysis report with the application should the U with the A with the determination statement the procedure with the checkout for the sheets, determine the valve lineup for the other similar requirements appearing with the corrective of the calibration with the determinant of the components with the during the review with the data of the calibration record for determining whether the as found setting with the record of determining whether the time and the point of the components selected with the conform April license certificate requirements review the qualification individuals have with the responsible for performing calibration application with the license requirement conforming with the company policy with regarding the personal qualification requirement, keeps the instrument measuring testing devices with the primary stream of the calibration plan with equipment to determine whether the accuracy of the traceable to the National Bureau of Standards, the independent of the testing organization, storage control selected with the device, properly information targeted with the testing equipment that conforms with calibration records, measuring testing and evaluation calibration of the time of the use, measuring testing and evaluation calibrated against standard that have the accuracy with the benefit and equal with the instrumentation being calibrated. Critically alarm monitoring system via observation, discussion, document review, determining whether the system of the testing with the permanent with the component with the system operational with the test periodically after the main, if determining with the main for the testing with the entire alarm shift that has been done so for the test is announced. 2. For the critically access for the accident alarm system expect with the design permit with the component system operated will the testing periodically and remain for the applicant and the license expect with to proceed with the placeable required tests and check with equivalent with the initial installation testing with a significant modification for the system, determine observation, discussion, document review, the audibility, criminal, critically alarm signal with approve of the background with the noise level specified with the applicable with the American National Standard Institute, same with the other regulatory requirements through with all the areas evaluated, the other signal with the stuff with the light, determine beacons provided operator warning. All tests of the corrective actions should be recorded with the maintenance surveillance tests are required. Record of the alarm system is to maintain. 0304 audit inspection requirement 0204. Determine the applicant and license of the conduct audit, self-test, and determine the control and track for the audit for the performance service, for the consent of the previous inspection, examine them required for the documentation, select for the audit, and determine whether there was a written plan with the audit equality review with the audit area with appropriately corrective with action, when the deficiency with the trial, when the whether there was a check for the effectiveness of corrective action, determine the interim review, applicant and license representative with the applicant and license to share with the effectiveness, all of the such with the use of the contract, all of the secondary review, all of the system periodically with the control of the member of the management senior technician not directly responsible for the system audit, determine if the safety system of the audit finding that they're being tracked with the completion of the corrective action program if required. Training, inspection requirement 0305, training, inspection 0205 with the review area specifically to ensure the following topics conclude with the appropriate IRFOs, process safety information, element safety health as relevant, and material safety data, sheet of the protection, product, etc., safety, work, play with confined space, entry, lockout tag, procedure for the opening, process, equipment, hot work, control, entry, hazardous areas, etc., process, technology is required, operating procedure phase of the operation, emergency responders, emergency procedure with the hazardous waste operation, emergency respond with the report, unusual events for the non-routine operation. Do on the job training with the trade with the minimum include with the following equipment of the familiarization completing the log sheet with the equipment and shut up down with the activity eliminating operation condition and control of the process with the variable to apply with the operating procedure on the field. Organizational structure and inspection requirements of the 0206 discussion application life of the data itself with the staff management review of the documentation term of the applicant and license of the organizational structure of the equipment of the application life of the discussion and select for the applicant and license management of their positions of the last of the inspection with the purpose of review of the documentation term of these made with the meet with the training of the extreme of the requirements for the position staff for the application and license. B for relevant the qualification involved with the plan staff with the requirements for the applicant and license with include the year of the relevant and extreme of the educational background with the training with the required newly assigned with the responsible examine the change of the organizational structure, according to the personal qualification, personal function of the responsible and authorities. See if no significant change of the curve of the organization from the previous inspection, alignment time spent on the section 0307, maintenance problem identification resolution inspection requirement 0207. As relief of the maintenance surveillance, select for the channel of the problem of the documentation for the applicant and license for determining with the corrective action timely appropriate to determine the applicant and license for the information tracking training system and available to reliable safety control of the IRFO for determining whether the applicant and license utilize the system performing the preventive maintenance for the risk of the significant safety equipment to review of the record of the safety IRFOs for the daily graded decline with the performance over time, view applicant and license identification cover the problems with the maintenance and surveillance action of the taken with the corrective action. In Title 10 CFR Part 7, the license of the required with the maintenance of the records of the IRFOs or the management measure of the behavior of the performance of the function of the demand or have it degrade such of the performance requirement that are not satisfied with the records should readily retrievable and inspected. The records should be identified by the IRFO with the management measure of the have the available safety function, active with the date, with the discover the date with the estimated time of the failure duration, estimated duration of the time and the time item was able to perform function with the other IRFOs, the management measure of the safety function, and effective with the process of the cause of the failure with the failure failure contacts performance requirement upon the demand of both of any of the corrective compensatory actions that was taken on the failure shall be recorded at the time when it discovered the record of the failure, updated promptly upon conclusion each of the failure investigation of the IRFO of the management measure is Title 10 CFR 1762A3. 82-201-B04 Resource estimate completed with the appendix with dependent on the specific facility with determined with the PIP within the facility with the detail with the resource with the estimate identified with the IP 88-201 Section 04 Resource estimate. 88-201-B05 Procedure completion dependent on the specific facility with determined BIP in the further facility. Or we have references. Fuel IMC the 2600 fuel cycle, the facility operating safety safeguard inspection program, center with the chemical process safety guidelines for the technical management chemical process safety American Institute chemical engineers, chemical safety process plant guidelines technical management chemical process safety American Institute chemical engineers, Title 10 CFR price of the domestic license special nuclear material Title 10 CFR 7061 performance requirement, occupational safety health administration process safety management highly hazardous chemical Title 29 CFR 1910-119 mechanical integrity and listed attachment revision history with the IP 88-201 Appendix B. So we have commitment tracking number, access number, change of the notice, and then description chain with the description chain with a completed date, with a completed closed feedback form, and accession with a pre-decision number public. So we have this big number, and its initial issue of initial will provide guidance, maintenance, measurement, inspection of fuel facility license on Part 70. There's Nuclear Regulatory Commission Inspection Manual of Maintenance, effective date June 20th, 2025.